Hello folks! If you've ever visited London, you've probably come across the British Royal Guard. You know, the dudes wearing red jackets, huge furry hats, and standing absolutely still outside Buckingham Palace? You may have even noticed tourists taking pictures with them. Isn't it kinda eerie that these guards don't move even a little when someone's trying to annoy them? But don't think even for a second that this is because they can't do anything about it. They are some of the most highly trained, elite, and dangerous soldiers on the entire planet. If you ever make the mistake of interfering with their job, you'll quickly learn why they've been chosen to protect the most famous family on the planet. In today's video, we'll be telling you why you should never, ever mess with the Royal Guard. So, let's get it on! The Queen's Royal Guard has stood guard at Buckingham Palace and other royal residencies for centuries at this point. They're dedicated, skilled, trained, and are sworn in to protect the British monarch at all costs. As you probably know, Elizabeth II is the longest reigning British monarch of all time. She's been the head of the family for over 62 years at this point, so of course she's been surrounded by the most reliable guards in the entire world. These elite soldiers have protected the king or queen since the reign of Henry VII, who made the royal bodyguard a permanent institution. Now it has been around for over 520 years. The first guards were raised in 1656 to protect the exiled King Charles II. The Guards Regiment is one of the most prestigious units of the British military, and they fought with great distinction in nearly every major conflict since the 17th century. Now, just because they moved away from the battlefield, don't assume that they're not as powerful anymore. They still go through intensive training and are perhaps more dangerous than ever. To this day, only the highest qualified officers and soldiers are even considered for this prestigious position. Did you know that the infamous changing of the guard ceremony used to take place at the Whitehall Palace until 1689? When the court moved to St. James's Palace, the ceremony started taking place over there. And then after Queen Victoria moved to Buckingham Palace in 1837, the Queen's Guard remained there, and you can still find them there to this day. So now you're probably wondering, how are these soldiers picked? Well, here's the thing. You can't really volunteer to be a part of the Royal Guard. Obviously, these guards have to be mentally and physically the best of the best. They need to be decorated members of one of the 7 most exclusive regiments of the British Army. Then they're recommended by the senior officers if they deem them worthy of being in the Royal Guard. Fun fact, did you know that all the guards have to be 5'10" or above? And this change was made very recently. Earlier, all the Royal Guards had to be at least 6'2". And yeah, we're still talking about the Queen's Guard, not Bumble or Tinder. The Royal Guard are notorious for their unsmiling faces. Seriously, it's almost impossible that you'll see them crack a smile, even when people are being absolutely hilarious in front of them. You gotta admire the commitment. So have you ever wondered why they're so stern at all times? Well, it's because these guards can actually get fired or arrested for simply smiling. Yeah, that's right. If they're caught smiling or laughing while on duty, they can get sent to military prison. Jeez. No matter how much anyone annoys them or tries to make them laugh, they are not allowed to react or respond unless someone makes physical contact or threatens them in some way. We have to say their ability to stand still for hours on end is kind of superhuman, especially considering the amount of hecklers they have to deal with every single day. We tip our hats to them. However, if you manage to anger them or violate their boundaries too much, don't get surprised when they step towards you and unleash their booming voice to tell you to step back from the Queen's Guard. And trust us, you don't want that to happen to you. It can be extremely terrifying and bone-chilling to hear them yell at you. They don't usually do this, so you know they are really mad when it happens. For instance, take a look at this clip where a guard furiously tells a couple of kids to get off the fence.
Get off the fence!
Now, would you ever want yourself to be in this position? We know we'd be shaking if we ever saw one marching towards us this menacingly. Here you can again see a guard point his rifle at some tourists who were refusing to get off the fence despite repeated warnings. Their voice is scary enough, but seeing them point their guns at you can be simply terrifying.
Stay off the fence!
Like we've said countless times in this video, you don't want to mess with them under any circumstances. And this next clip is even more proof of this. This dude was annoying a guard repeatedly, and at one point the guard finally lost his patience. He pointed his rifle towards the civilian and shouted him to get back from the Queen's Guard.
Get back from the Queen's Guard!
So yeah, what's the lesson here, folks? Take pictures with them all you want, but do not push their limits. They can be really scary if they decide to flip on that switch. Now again, you need to remember that these guards aren't just standing there for show playing dress up. They are some of the most brutal and battle-hardened soldiers the United Kingdom military has to offer. They've gone through years and years of training. Do not mistake their silence for weakness. And now here's another example. A tourist stood in the path of a royal guard and then got brutally pushed away. After getting the woman out of his way, the guard continued his drill almost robotically, seemingly unfazed and unaffected by what transpired. Yeah, they're as cold as it gets. If you get too close to them or make physical contact, they will shove you away. It's their job. They are literally the Royal Guard. Yes, they're instructed to not respond if someone is merely annoying them. But remember, they're also instructed to use any means necessary to scare away someone who makes physical contact with them. If you want to end up in a hospital, the easiest way is to try and touch a guard. They'll quickly spring into action and show you why they've been selected for one of the most important jobs in the world. Now here's another interesting fact about the Royal Guards. Did you know that they're not allowed to take breaks when they're on duty? They can't abandon their post under any circumstances. And yes, this includes bathroom breaks as well. If one of these guards unfortunately has to go to the toilet, they have to hold it in until their shift is over. So how long are their shifts? Well, typically a guard shift includes around 2 hours of standing still and 4 hours of patrolling. So if you've ever dreamt of being one of the Queen's guards for some reason, keep this in mind. The Queen's Guard are almost instantly recognizable due to their iconic uniforms. But did you know, wearing these jackets and hats is not easy at all. This is London we're talking about, a city notorious for almost constant rain. Now while their jackets already weigh around 8 pounds, they can get much heavier after hours of standing and walking in the rain. And let's not forget those massive black hats. Those are called bearskins and they're actually made from the fur of a Canadian black bear. They weigh around 1.5 pounds. Spending a day wearing a uniform such as this is no easy task and these soldiers seem to pull it off with ease. We gotta say, we're impressed. And now let's tell you a somewhat creepy and insane fact about the Queen's Guard. Obviously, these soldiers have to follow very strict protocols and rules, but perhaps the weirdest rule is that they even have to faint a certain way. Yeah, they just can't collapse to the ground if they suffer from a heat stroke. If a guard is feeling lightheaded, he has to position himself in such a manner that he follows protocol. What he has to do is basically drop down on one knee and then fall face first onto the ground. This is called fainting to attention, and this is something all guards have to adhere to. So yeah, if you ever thought of messing with a royal guard, remember that these are the guys you're dealing with here. They're just built different. Alright, which of these facts about the Royal Guard shocked you the most? And will you ever dare to get close to them the next time you're in London? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Trend Joint, and we'll see you in the next one.